head football coach of Tennessee, Josh Heupel. Coach Hype, good morning.
Good morning. How we doing?
Great, man. Great. Thank you for joining us this morning. I know you having busy meetings and strategizing. Got practice coming up tomorrow, so just appreciate you, man. Thank you for joining us.
Absolutely. We're coaches are off and running here and taking a quick break from staff meeting, get a chance to go out and scrimmage again tomorrow with second scrimmage and ready to roll.
Coach, I've been wondering this for weeks now. I watched the bowl game, your bowl game, and got a chance to check out the offense. And I was keeping up with Marcus Tatum, former Tennessee player, and watched the game between Central Florida and BYU. And I was at the Missouri game in 2017. I left there real sad and really embarrassed because your offense dropped 50 points. But when you were at Missouri in 2017, I did not see the same offense that I saw during your time in Central Florida. And you've traveled. You quarterback at Oklahoma, been offense coordinator multiple stops. At what point did you say, all right, this is the offense we're going to do? Because I did not see this offense currently at Missouri. When was that point that you made that decision, and what led to that decision to run this offense that you currently run?
This really is a lot of the same things that we were doing at Missouri. Now there's some differences as well, and that really comes from just your personnel. At Missouri, we were heavy 11 personnel, and that was based on the tight ends that we had and maybe the depth at wide receiver that we didn't have. And down at UCF, we played in 11 personnel probably this past year half the time. Our first year we played in it majority of the time. This past year we were in four wide out sets 50% of the time, I guess, about that. And that was based off of our personnel. And I think you always look at your end result of what you're trying to do, and then you work backwards from that. It's based off of your personnel. That's going to dictate some of the schemes that you're able to run. But what your personnel does well, you got to adjust to them and put them in a position to have success. And so, what we're doing this spring is trying to find out, who are our players that are going to play at a championship level. They're going to compete the way that you have to, that we can trust, that have earned an opportunity to play. We're going to continue to put in our base structure of what we do, and then as you move into training camp and get ready to start game planning, then you make sure that you put them in the right position to be successful.
Coach, just following up Swain's question about your offense, kind of the two unique things about your offense is the wide splits and the up-tempo pace. When did you kind of settle on wanting to go as fast as your offense goes and the wide splits, and why is it so important that you do implement those wide splits?
The splits are just putting pressure on a defense, making them defend every blade of grass that's on the football field. You're going to put guys in conflict. You're going to create one-on-one situations, and then you give your offensive players an opportunity to go win those one-on-one situations. Everything is personnel based and trying to find the right matchup and put guys in a conflicted position on the defensive side of the football. Got into some of that just as we had a young quarterback at Oklahoma and was struggling seeing and reading some things from the young quarterback perspective. Started spacing things out a little bit more, clearing the picture for him, and he had some success with it. And we also found just the issues that it presented for the defense. And tempo is going to be a portion of what we do, and it's a big portion of what we do. Once you get things going, you want to apply pressure to the defense. Tempo is a tool to do that. I think it's got a chance to change the landscape of maybe some mismatches that you have, in particular up front. I think you can create an advantage for your offensive line. It's absolutely critical that while you're playing with tempo in 4-minute and a half situational football, that you're able to do that too. And so there's some unique things that we do playing from a huddle as well that give us an advantage to do a great job of finishing a half, finishing a ball game the right way. And I think you look at our track record, that's going to speak to that.
Josh Heupel, head football coach here on the Swain event. Recruiting So many people, so many fan bases, they're tied into recruiting. They know about, who you guys are targeting. They find out about the height, the weight, the speed. They know about the player's, girlfriend, the favorite color. I mean, recruiting is so intense now. And you look at the different recruiting sites, things like that, and those guys do a really good job of covering these recruits. One thing that I wonder is the start of the process for you, Coach, because you came in January, obviously behind the 8 ball there, but no one's making excuses. You just got to go and get it done. But behind the 8 ball, everyone knows that in a normal situation, when do you identify a guy in high school, what age, what year, and you say, okay, this guy can maybe play for us as a senior? How early are you guys starting that process to build that relationship with that player?
Well, recruiting is about relationship. It's time and energy poured into to a young person, and we got every tool here to help kids go achieve greatness in every area of life, on and off the field. And I think that's one of the unique things here. The passion, energy that surrounds our program. A portion of that is recruiting with our fan base too. So that's why I wanted to be here, man. This is one of the great traditions of college football. We get to put a new age approach on it, and we get to go compete and ultimately win championships here on the biggest and best stage. And I wanted to be a part of that. As we get deeper into our recruiting cycles, right? We have a lot of coaches that have ties and connections inside of our natural footprint, our recruiting footprint. So they have connections to high schools. As we're able to be out on the road, during the winter, during December and January months, during spring recruiting, you're going to see kids that are in the current cycle that you're recruiting. You're also going to find kids that are on the next cycle, but you're going to see some young freshmen that are no-brainers as well. So that process can take place at any time, really starting their freshman year, but certainly through their sophomore and junior season.
Coach, you've had a good number of spring practices, and you've had guys, be out because of quarantine. That's still going on. You got guys banged up a little bit, and you want to be careful. Coach, who on offense, who on defense for you has really stood out? Maybe it's one or two, maybe it's more. Who knows? But some guys on offense, guys on defense that stood out to you with their play being consistent out there.
For us, here's what I'm really thankful for. We've been really fortunate that we've stayed really pretty healthy, right? We haven't had many COVID issues here since we started spring ball. So we've had a good portion, if not all, of our guys out there on most days. And we've had an opportunity to go compete at a really high level. Our football team as a whole, they're learning the standards of how we're going to operate on the practice field, how we're going to communicate. They're learning how to compete, right? So our kids get graded every day on their effort, right? Playing snap to whistle, because I think that's the number one thing that you got to do. You got to play harder than your opponent. Mm-hmm. And they're learning how to pay attention to the details in what we're doing. So they're growing in communication, defensively, all three levels, offensively, 5 guys up front, quarterback handling the communication system, in particular when we're playing with tempo. They're getting so much better in the fundamentals and technique within those schemes. We've grown a bunch. A day ago, I thought our defense took the biggest step forward that they had taken, and they had been taking steps forward, but I thought some things clicked, and they played their best football. But it was a big jump from the previous day, and we've had good back and forth between offense and defense. There's been plays made on both sides of the line of scrimmage, which I think is important. If it's ever tilted one direction, you're probably in trouble. But our guys are competing at a really high level. I think they enjoy being inside the building. They enjoy the meetings. They enjoy the camaraderie between the team itself, and there's great energy and competition out on the practice field. So I like the direction that we're heading. That's a fundamental, foundational piece of who and what we got to be. There's guys all over the field that have really come on and are doing a really good job. Tillman at the wide receiver spot had, back-to-back big-time days. I think he's grown a bunch in what we're doing offensively. have some young backs, Jabari Small in particular, that's shown some special traits at the running back position, like what he's doing. Walker Merrill at the wide receiver position had a really good spring for a true freshman. Defensively, I think our secondary played really well, playing with great technique and effort and energy. Pat Garland at the linebacker spot had a really good spring. He's continuing to come on here. Excited to see the scrimmage from his perspective tomorrow. But we get one more opportunity tomorrow to go inside Neyland Stadium, play with great effort and energy, and get one day better.
Coach, you talk about taking a jump from one practice to the next, and tomorrow will be scrimmage number 2 of spring practice. What improvements, what jumps are you hoping to see from your football team from scrimmage number 1 of spring to scrimmage number 2?
Yeah, we try to make practice like a game, right? But you still have certain periods where it doesn't flow quite like that. So tomorrow, coaches are on the sideline. Everybody's got to operate and function out there in space. Both sides of the line of scrimmage got to reset from one play to the next. The ability to hear the whistle, get your eyes back, get the signal, line up on offense formationally, defensively, see the formation, adjust, communicate all 3 levels, be on the same page, make sure that we have gap integrity, play with great effort and energy, and go and chase the football and tackle well in space. So those are some of the things that we want to see on both the offensive and defensive side tomorrow.
Coach, how do you manage and balance when you make a personnel decision with any guy, any position? It could be quarterback, it could be receiver, defense, where you have 2 guys or 3. One makes big plays, but maybe gives up plays too, turnovers, mental errors. But physically, he can make better plays than the other 2 or the one. How do you make decisions? How do you balance that decision on maybe personnel moves? Maybe which guy to go with? The guy that's more of a home run hitter, but it's going to give us more, some make more mistakes, or the guy that's a little bit more consistent, but may not be the home run hitter.
In year one, but this is true every year too. You don't come out of spring ball with a finalized depth chart, in my opinion, and our staff feels the same way. There's so much growth that happens in May, June, and July with the players physically. Their ability to change their bodies and get themselves prepared and be a different player by the time they come back to training camp. Their ability to understand what you're doing schematically on both sides of the line of scrimmage. They have an opportunity to grow so much as they get another install during the course of the summer. They get an opportunity in strength and conditioning to change their bodies. They come back a completely different player if they pour 100% in every day. And so, for us right now during spring ball, kids get graded, right? They move up and down as far as which group they're working with and competing with during the course of that day. It's a very fluid situation. You look at the tape, you grade them, and they move up and down based on that. Every day we talk about the ability to reset, and that's part of having a winning mentality, is that you can just go play the next play independent of what has happened the previous play. And that's maybe good or bad with the previous play. And, our players are learning how to have that mentality, learn how to compete extremely hard every single snap, and growing in that way.
Joined by Tennessee head football coach Josh Heupel here on the Swain event. Coach, next Saturday is the spring game. Have you all decided what the format for the spring game will look like? And if so, what will the format look like?
No, we haven't completely finalized the format of what that's going to look like. That's predicated off of how deep you are at the current situation. Who are some guys that maybe you're holding out? How do you want to make sure that you're putting all your kids in a position to have a great day and go out and compete in the right way?
Last question, Coach. Christmas is always December 25th, but I got a second Christmas present. To start 2021, I got a poster of Neyland Stadium signed by you, thanking guys like me for helping build the place, and we really, really appreciate you sending that to the players that play here. Coach, When is the next present coming this way? I like presents, Coach.
The next present happens when you guys come back on campus. No, it's important to myself, to our staff, that we welcome back the VFLs and former players here that have poured a lot of time, energy, blood, sweat, tears, in some ways, back into this program. It's important that this is the place that they built. I really meant that when I put that on the poster. They built this program. I'm fortunate that I get to be the caretaker of Tennessee football. It's a great honor. It's one that we're excited about. My family is excited about being here in Knoxville. This is a special place. That's why I chose to come here, and a big piece of that is the guys that have come before me. And so we want them back here as much as they possibly can. I want them on the practice field. Want them here pouring back into our players. I think it's important that our players see that this is a process and a journey that doesn't end, that Tennessee football is going to be a part of their life forever. Those are connections. We want that brotherhood of guys that played in your era or whatever era it is that you played here, being back here. It should be a place of great pride. It should be a place that your family gets to see what you did. And it's just important to me that we build that culture the right way. That's going to help with our current football team. It's going to help in recruiting as we create positive momentum that changes the game forever for Tennessee football.
Man, I got so many questions for you, Coach, but I know you are ripping and running, burning it on both sides. I don't even know if you packed completely or moved out of your boxes yet, hitting Knoxville and getting to know these players, implementing the culture, building a foundation. You got spring games. So I'm just very appreciative of your time that you gave us this morning. Thank you so much. And I just look forward to spending more time with you, being around the team, rooting for you. And if anything we can do to help, please let me know. Thank you so much for joining the show. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Appreciate you guys being on. Look forward to seeing you around the spring game. Have a great day, guys.
Sound good. You too. Swain event.